Hey, what is going on? We're alive. Thank you so much to anyone who's here. Much appreciated. Going to be a fun one. We're going to have a nice little painting process today. Let me just open up the video in a separate tab so that I can monitor everything that's going on. And in the meantime, I missed you. It's been a while since we did one of these because last week's was the interview. So let me know what time it is in your place and how you're doing. And what you're doing maybe while listening or while watching. So we have Mr. S, Portland Headlight, Cape Elizabeth, Maine, USA, beautiful New England. Barb White says can't wait to watch, but we'll have to do it later, running errands today. John says, so looking forward to today's live stream, best part of the week for me. Hope you're well, Liron. Thank you so much, John. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Pam Toggle. Hey, Chanang, how are you doing? Hey, course I am. Hey, Lillian Joy. Hey, Sally Smith. I hope everyone is doing well. Well, we started a few minutes early because I don't know, I was ready, so why not? And we'll let people get in. In the meantime, let me open up the reference photo we'll use. So here we go, image and Lighthouse. So this is bam, this is the one. It's such a funny thing because it's relatively hard. I thought it was going to be like kind of a straightforward process. And then what I did was paint it kind of for my own, just to get ready and maybe do some painting today because it's been a few busy couple of days, plus vacation a couple of days, so slowly going back to track. And whenever I take these kinds of breaks, it's really fun to go back to painting. So that's something that's really neat. Let me see, my computer seems to be a little slow. Let me know if there's any issue with the live stream though. I think it should work well. I closed up a lot of things that took space. Let's see who we have in the house. Wow, a lot of people. Thank you for being here. Rosario Jimenez. John says 3 p.m. in the UK. Byron Mayer, hello again from Johannesburg, South Africa. Rosario Jimenez says USA. Manesh says hi, Liron. Good evening. Vespa for Jen. Hi. 7 a.m. in Granite Bay, California. Excited to paint along with you, Liron. D. Johnson says good morning from Iowa. I'm working out while watching. Cool. That's great. Working out, I always listen to stuff while working out. Daiji Shinori says, oh, hey, David Green, probably my favorite Lighthouse. Cool. Thank you. Happy that I chose a good picture. A tricky one, I'm telling you. Nora says, hi, Liron. Paul Omir says, 10 a.m. Hamilton, Canada. Good morning. Daiji Shinori, I'm on time. Yeah, definitely. You're here. Dip says 10 a.m. USA Eastern Time. Dutch Nature Art, hi, all from Holland. Linda says, hi, Liron. Linda Coffee from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, USA. I love lighthouses. Good morning, Liron from 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. John Watercolor, slight delay in live stream. Yeah, that's fine. I see it on my end. Hopefully it'll get better. Hey, Regina. Hey, Jim. Hey, Larry. Hey, Nancy G from Akron, Ohio. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get started. I think we're ready to go. So let me show you first. We'll switch over to the desk scene, because I want to show you 2 studies I did. This is funny. So I just thought I'd paint 2 versions just for fun real quick. I haven't even taped the paper. I just kind of painted on it. So the first attempt I did was actually this one, where I kind of just said, okay, I'll paint whatever I see. Got this thing going on. Very messy, but also I think it has a hint of what's in the original scene. Doing this, just painting, will teach you a lot. Just painting even without a specific goal other than just paint the scene you see. So for example, the thing I learned from painting this is first, the sky in some areas need to be a little darker to bring out the lighthouse. I also learned that I want to go for more oranges for the rooftops because they are quite orange in the reference photo. Here I went for a red. I want to try more orange. I want to give a better play of warms and cools, kind of simplify a bit. And other than that, I don't know, I'm fine with a lot of the things here. Of course, this is just an initial kind of version. It's not meant to it's not even meant necessarily to show you. I just did it to prepare myself, and then I showed you. And I haven't added the darkest shadows yet, to just play around with the focal point. So here is the second attempt. And for this one, I went kind of like a Joseph Zbukvich kind of approach of against the light and changed everything. Because initially I wanted this video to be about how to change things that you see in the reference photo and just paint in a fun way that you enjoy. Maybe you don't like the light and shadow situation as much in the reference photo and you want to try it out. So I think what we'll do is kind of a hybrid approach. And I actually have 2 pieces of paper here so we can try out 2. So what I think I want to do For first, I'll do a version that is kind of loyal to the references values. So we'll do something that does leave this as a highlight, unlike this one, where it's more of against the light. We'll throw that aside for a moment, and we'll do something that is loyal to the values, that takes into account the warm and hot and cool temperatures. So kind of combining these two to have this beautiful kind of feel of light to dark, or warm to cool. And then for the second version, we'll figure it out. I'm still not sure what I want to do. So the first version will be small. I have another piece of paper here for a bit of a larger one. And I think we can get started in just a few minutes. Let's see who's in the house. We have a lot of people. Banani, Kovani, hi from Belgium. Hani, hey, Hani, how are you? Hello. Hemanta Kumar says good evening from India. Marguerite says hello from Alberta, Canada. Regina says hi, Liron. I've done these too. It was great fun. Oh, happy to hear. Feel free to share with me. You can also share on the Discord. If you're still not there, you can join the Discord. It's fun. Over there, I actually ask people to share their social media and then follow them. So if you want me to follow you, join the Discord. If anyone can drop a link, because I don't want to do it while streaming. So feel free to. Linda says first attempt is beautiful. Thank you so much. Tom Dancer says no, don't just yet. I'm trying to edit the video. Okay, we'll take a few more moments because I do want to do a bit of a prep work. Linda says, can I rewatch this later? Yes, all of my live streams are rewatchable later. Don't worry, I'm not trying to hide content away from you. Quite the opposite. So I think we'll start with first a smaller scene now. Tom, if you're editing a video, we'll start with the drawing. We'll take it slowly, and you can join later for the painting stage. So let's talk a bit about maybe my plan or my strategy. I'm gonna draw this in a simple manner. Okay, it's a small piece of paper. We can't go into too many details. We have to kind of just go for it. And then I'll do a first wash. We'll do like Andy Evenson style. First wash, cover everything but the highlights, okay? And I'm still considering whether or not this area I want to leave as a highlight. So we'll see about that. Maybe I'll leave a few strategic ones here and there. Like the road, you can see a nice little road going off here. So maybe I'll try and save that up as a highlight. And then we'll start darkening it up as we move along. But the emphasis here is going to be on warm and cool temperatures. So I'll be using a lot of my French ultramarine and a lot of this red, which is kind of a burnt sienna-ish kind of a red. So let's get started. What else did I want to share something? I don't remember. Horizon line is somewhere on the lower third maybe, or maybe kind of under the middle. And again, you won't see too many details here. This is just going off. And let me open up the picture large so I can see all of the details. So this is kind of going off of the main key shapes. Okay, so we have this kind of a thing going back here, and then around the midpoint from here to there. And if you can't see anything, if there's any audio issues, anything whatsoever, you just let me know. Now, when drawing, it's important to have the drawing process kind of mimic what you're aiming for. And for this example, I wanted to show where the key shapes are. So let's see, we have a house here, we have another house or something, a structure, we have the lighthouse somewhere around here. See, I'm not going into details yet. Then we have another small kind of a cabin thingy. And then we have that background, beautiful, beautiful shape for whatever it is there, piece of land, right? Now, I want this to reflect what I'm gonna do in terms of light and shadow. So we're gonna follow the shapes of light and shadow. So we have this kind of a side for the rooftop, and this is gonna be the light area right here, the front. Then this goes down here. We can see a bit more of that beautiful red rooftop, and then we have these dormers here, so that's going to be a bit of a lighter area. Shadow coming from this side, and then we have some details, some windows, like that. Hope everyone's doing well. Let me know what's up, what's new. I've been taking a few days off as we had a holiday. Also, May flew to France, so I'm gonna have 2 lonely weeks. I'm gonna be I hope I don't go crazy. But yeah, so we had some preparation for that. So I'm gonna put this here, get this rounded thing going on, get this rounded thing here, get the main shape. And again, remember, I want to show what's going on here in terms of the highlights and the light and shadow. So we're gonna have this very fuzzy shadow going down here, kind of connecting from a sharper shadow. Same thing going on up there. We want to show all of that. This is very small. Again, just you do your best to put in whatever detail you see fit. And then for this area, I'll probably preserve some kind of a jagged highlight here to indicate that maybe there's a road coming from the top here. Okay, we'll see how it goes. This is all just guesswork because, again, if you look at these earlier attempts, it's just guesswork, really. I had no idea how this is going to turn out. I had no guarantees that it's going to turn out nicely. You can argue that it didn't turn out nicely. So that's all you can do, really. Just kind of guess and hope for the best. So I think we're almost good to go. So here's the thing. I'm going to leave as highlights this area right here, right? This area right here, this area right here. This is going to be a blended line. We're going to leave as a highlight this front. This is going to be a highlight too, right here. This wall, this wall, this wall, this, and maybe just for composition's sake, we'll leave a. I don't know if it's going to play any role. Let's draw it and then decide later on. And we're gonna have a few highlights here for the foam coming off the water onto the rocky cliff or beach, whatever that is. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. And I think with that we can start painting. Let's just get to it, and we'll see what we can produce here. Okay, so I'm working this attempt, kind of putting a lot of emphasis on warm and cool. Nothing too serious beyond that. Let's see what we can achieve with only temperature. Okay, so for the sky, I'm gonna use a blue, but it's gonna be a relatively muted blue. I'm not even gonna give any real treatment to the clouds here, to be honest with you. I want them to not take away from the lighthouse, especially when it comes to, this is so fun, it's been a few days since I painted properly. It's been, again, whenever this happens to me, I'm like, when I go back, it's full force, it's really fun, because I missed it, I enjoy looking at the paper. But in any case, I don't want the clouds here to take away from the highlight, so I'm not going to leave any in the sky. Okay, the sky is going to be sent to the back fully. You want to have your paper at an angle, help the paint move. This is actually not a highlight, so let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this area here. Then this is not a highlight too, right? This is not a highlight too. And we'll start making our way to the bottom. And slow down if you have to. I mean, this is not easy always to keep track of what's a highlight, what isn't. So that's perfectly fine if you have to kind of slow down. Now I'm gonna inject a bit of, let me actually change to a smaller brush. I'm gonna inject a bit of warmth here near this shoreline, but it's still the same kind of value. Okay, this is all kind of grays for the background. And let's wrap up this section right here. Start injecting some warmth, not fully, because this isn't going to be like a colorful kind of a piece. It's going to be a relatively muted overall. Later on we can experiment with some paints and go a little more wild. And again, whenever you have to deal with different colors, it doesn't make the process any easier, right? So you have to take that into consideration. As soon as you introduce paint, more challenges present themselves. So this goes here, this entire thing. And don't worry if you lose some of that flow, like in this spot, because I waited for a bit too long, that's fine. Let's put a bit of warmth there, a bit of warmth here. One thing I wanted to do and kind of forgot, we can fix that later on. I wanted to get a blended transition here. We can actually fix it right now by doing this, wet and wet. Let's move back to some warmth for these rooftops, but just a bit of warmth, not too much. And then we can switch over back to our larger brush. And let's add a bit more warmth here, even though it's not the red rooftops, just because it's a bit closer. There's a bit of green there, so that's a bit of warmth. And one thing I forgot to do, I wanted to add a few of these beautiful kind of random highlights. I forgot about shapes. Forgot about those, so this connects, and then maybe there's a, kind of a diagonal shadows coming from the rooftop or something else kind of radiating there. This will hopefully flow and not get too bad of a background, but that's fine, that's a part of the process, Sometimes you miss some areas, some connections. Don't beat yourself too hard over it because it's just impossible to get every single transition the way you want. It's just not going to work. Side of the mountain here, and let's do this kind of a rocky road that has a bit of, few kind of maybe even stairs. We can just kind of turn this into steps that one can take to go downhill, go over this. Maybe let's add that interest in the shapes that break. That looks really cool. And now it's easy. We'll actually just move this all the way down to the bottom. No variety in values. We'll just crank up the blue. And maybe let's even use some manganese blue just to get it a bit bluer, right? So that's kind of our first wash. I think it looks interesting. The moment we start putting in the next layers, we'll really see where this one goes. So let it dry for a few moments and see what you're saying in the chat. Maybe get a towel because I'm sweaty from focusing and concentrating. So just a second. This always happens. So yeah. So this is more of a, I don't want to say mechanical way of approaching this scene, but it's more of a let's take this step by step and maybe get some of the values first, right? And you'll see as soon as I start establishing the further details, it will make a lot more sense. Right now, sometimes it works immediately, sometimes it takes time. Forgot to leave some highlights here, right? For the foam, we can actually fix that. What I'm gonna do is just try and lift a bit, and worst case, it won't work. But I think it works well. I can actually use my lifting brush because it's still quite wet, so I can actually just soak back the paint. Let's see here. It's funny, I painted this scene already. This is the third time, and it's still quite a challenge. It's just not an easy scene to paint. Now let's go like this. Maybe it'll make more sense in the grand scheme of things once I let it dry a bit. So let's see, I think the crazy sunlight moved away. So let me open up the blinds. This is always a tricky time. Good, so we have some more natural light. Hopefully it won't feel too weird. Now let's see what you're saying in the chat. Who do we have here? So yeah, you can rewatch it, as I said, Linda. John says, John from West Palm Beach, Florida. Tom says, looking forward to this. Love Lighthouse paintings. Seem to be a popular subject. Yeah, definitely. I just opened up randomly the Pixabay website. That was the first thing that popped and I just chose it. Nothing, didn't devote too much thought to it. It was like, oh, this is a nice scene. I'll paint that. Ambi says, hey, Liron, did you change the time? Was here an hour early? Yeah, I did this one a little late. Went 1 hour late. Actually, the same as the last week's, which is 1 hour late than the usual live streams. 1234 says, I like the backlight. Yes, I like it too. Maybe the second attempt will be that. We'll see. Wolfgang, sorry, message redirected. Feel free to send it again. TS, hi there, I'm a beginner and your videos are very helpful. Thank you for your awesome content. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate the kind words. It really is something not to be taken for granted. And by the way, I know a lot of people are not familiar with the courses, so if you want to learn how to paint watercolor in a fun way, really let go and enjoy the painting process, be sure to check it out. I do have the link. I think it should be the first link in the description box where you can learn from the frustration-free watercolor course. So be sure to check that out. It will really allow you to, in a very step-by-step way, in a very mechanical way, let go and learn how to enjoy the painting process and learn how to really let go, because a lot of people seem stuck at that first stage of not being able to just paint the way watercolor is meant to be played, and in that not played. And in that I mean to have some flow, right? To have some flow. We're gonna do that for the next one. Maybe I'll try recreating something similar to this and have some flow in it. You have to remember that you're doing watercolor. You're doing something that has the capability to flow really nicely, and it's a shame not to make use of it. So that's something I do recommend doing. And then if you want to get the results you want and actually be able to paint somewhat realistically, right, I'm not fully tackling it in the course, but if you want to paint somewhat realistically, it will give you those first few steps. I am working, as mentioned, on a realism course, but this is a great start for that. And one more thing I talk about there a lot is alla prima painting. So if you want to learn how to just tackle the scene at once and paint it in a way that's very flowy, if you have a time constraint or if you're painting outside, or just if you want to develop that skill, which I think is very important, you get to do that there and to paint two beautiful scenes that just have that flow to them. So highly recommend it. Check it out. First link always in the description box below. Whenever I do an interview, it's not the first link, because then and by the way, let me know if you watched the Andy Evenson interview. Let me know your thoughts. I think people really enjoyed it. I have a few other planned out for you soon. Sorry that mic went crazy for a moment. Let me know if you can't hear me. But yeah, I have a few more in store for you. Angela says hi from Sweden. Wolfgang Soul, hi all from Germany, 4 p.m. Thank you, sorry for the message retracted earlier. Rusty Wilcox says hello from Cape Town, South Africa. Linda says hi, Rosario. Regina Voss. YouTuber Paul Clark has a tutorial with the same picture. Really? That's funny. I'm going to check it out. You know what? I'm going to check it out afterwards. I'm going to open it up in a separate tab and not look. I'm not looking. I don't want to look. Yeah, okay. I'm curious to see. Aaron Litton says even the sketches are light years ahead of me. Yeah, it's just quick sketch, just getting the gist of it. Perspective. Aaron, go for perspective. By the way, I have another plan for a proper perspective course, so you can expect that. There is a lot to be desired from perspective courses when it comes to the more advanced topics like measuring and cylinders and rounded shapes in perspective. I do plan on doing that as well. Kind of took a break from drawing in terms of teaching it to acquire new skills, but now when I feel I'm in a much better place, I can go back to also teaching more of that in a proper course. Richard Bennett, hello everyone. Hope you're all keeping safe. Joy, hello all from the Philippines, 10:11 p.m. And by the way, Joy, I can read your name in katakana also, so that's fun. Tom says letting things flow together is something I want to work on, or letting myself let things flow together. Yeah. Aaron, I agree to rigid. Yeah, that rigidness can kill the flow so fast. Andrea Sims, and by the way, it's fun to separate. So work on one section, let that flow, then work on another section, then let that flow. Andrea Sims, so good to watch you do this. Thank you, Tom. It was so hot here 2 nights ago. I couldn't lift out clouds with tissues or fully. Wow, that's crazy. That's really crazy. Pam says still sketching. I'm giving you time. You can still sketch as we're doing this. I'm giving you time. I think I'm leaving out some buildings. Yeah, definitely. Put just the lighthouse even. Okay. Deep Christian says, beautiful painting. Is this a good habit to directly use color without drawing pencil sketches? I actually have drawn a sketch, just a very light one. Your palette is a mess. I love it. Thank you, Rosario. Yeah, it's always a mess. It usually is a mess. So now we need to think about what's the next step, right? So, and I'll dry this with a hairdryer in just a few seconds, but there are a few things we want to bring out and darken. So to me, a couple of things I'd like to darken is this strip of land in the background, just to send it there and make a separation. We're gonna probably darken quite a lot of details on the lighthouse, but this is so small we don't have a lot of room. By the way, I have to cut today's live stream. I can't go 2 hours. I'll have to go a maximum of 1.5 hours because Ruth has a vet appointment. Just the usual routine stuff. She's doing well. She's here sleeping on the couch. Maybe we'll have a cameo later on. But yeah, I'll have to end this one in maximum 1 hour and maybe 15 minutes. So just letting you know, sorry about that, and maybe we should get to painting. So I'll darken some of the rooftops, details on the lighthouse, and possibly some more of the details on the cliff here. Now, one thing to have in mind is when you look at that cliff, it has all sorts of shapes in it, right, around this area. A million of random rocks. Don't fall for the trap of trying to portray each and every one of them. It's just impossible. So what I did here is kind of an interpretation of adding a lighter area or 2 light areas. I think is a good habit to have, to try and say, what can I connect here? And then later on think about how to bring out more details, because we will bring out more details in just a second. Okay, so let me dry this one real fast. I'm gonna mute so that I don't go too loud. I'll be back in just like 10 seconds or so. I'm gonna dry it to the side so I'm not slowing down my computer as I always do. So 1 second. So in case you don't know, a recent discovery I made was that whenever I use the hairdryer, it really slows down the computer because of the heat. So lesson learned, not gonna do that again. Let's switch to a smaller brush. Tracy Lebenson brushes, Wangi Brown Synthetic, the one I constantly go to. I should remove the label. I don't know why, I'm too lazy to remove it. So yeah, let's start darkening. And here, the good news is that we can start working in smaller sections. So let me actually let me spray a bit of water on the paints just to make sure that they're kind of alive, look alive. Here we can start working in sections. So I'm gonna put a bit of emphasis on wet, kind of warm to cool transitions. So we'll start with the top of the lighthouse and we'll actually use a bit of a warm color there. So, and due to the setup, it's not really easy for me to zoom in more, so my apologies. If you want to see more details, but I can do this. And hopefully I'll get a better camera. And here we go. We had it for a moment. We had it for just a moment, but in any case, I'm working on getting a better camera. We'll have to get a better connection too, because that also really influences the video's quality. But in any case, yes, this shadow has to be a little darker, which will separate the lighthouse from the sky, right? And then I'll re-add some of the highlights later on. I kind of lost some of them. Now this can't be too dark because it's still a white lighthouse. So I'm gonna come back with a moist brush and help this move, and by doing so we'll also lighten up that left section that's dark. And you'll see, of course, watercolor, it's gonna dry much wider than it appears right now. Initially, you have to take that into account. We'll get this beautiful window here. And then we can actually move over to the left from that point. Now again, even at this stage, it's important to remember you're painting watercolor. So don't just start painting different fragments separately. You do want to have some areas connect, like kind of what I'm doing here. I'm connecting. So I'm trying to, sometimes there will be subtle connections, but they are connecting. So this goes here. The ridge, I'll actually connect that too, but let's first add this shadow in and darken some of these. Add some of the windows. This is smaller, right? So we can't put in too many details. We'll do that in the next iteration, okay? Don't worry about that. Let's get these rooftops darker as well, merged with, we have some windows there. I know it's tiny. You'll see more details in the next iteration. And then what we're gonna do is, maybe let's stick to this one, I think. I want to get that connected to the rocky cliffs. So keep those fairly muted. And you can see that there's a lot of foliage there. And that's a little darker. So here starts the journey of interpretation. So I'm gonna get that foliage in there. But then I have to think, how do I not go overboard? How do I not exaggerate and break this off into a million different shapes that don't tell the viewer any sort of story, okay? So something like that, kind of random patterns of rocks that I can kind of imagine. We can go back and maybe inject, just for visual sake, a bit of light on top of them. Light, by light I mean just a warm color. And then go back and maybe inject some coolness near here. Maybe take a bit of pure French ultramarine, get a bit of it showing, right? Then we're gonna head off to the other side here, and maybe this is kind of a more cliffy. You see, I'm really kind of wondering with the interpretation, because I can throw in random shapes, but I'm really trying to think what things look like. So for example, I see a separation between this cliff, if you will, and the other one. And this has this beautiful kind of pattern. Let me open up again my larger photo. Let's see here. So we have a bunch of really random shapes there of rocks, but always try and keep them connected, okay? And this isn't an easy scene. Like, I've been doing, again, a few iterations. It's not one of those scenes that kind of You just get it, nail it immediately, and that's it. You see, I'm like, okay, is this impression something I'm happy with, or do I want to go for something else? Now, if it feels too much, too detailed, or too whatever, again, you know my trick, just come back with a bit of a wet brush and start softening some shapes and some edges. And that'll usually solve the issue for you. Now, for the water, we will go darker, but I want to preserve their coolness. So let's do something like that. Let's get a bit of a darker value going on there, aside from the foam that hopefully I'll be able to leave there. Something like this. And then I'll just go back with a bit of water and help connect it with the bottom of the page. So just help this move. Okay? And hopefully it's not too messy. It is a little messy, but we'll make some order out of it soon. And then I want to start adding a few darker bits to where the water meets the cliffs. So I'll have to mix a somewhat neutral darker gray and start injecting that in here just to bring out the separation. You can even add a few ripples if you want to, but I'm gonna let this dry a bit more before I actually add ripples. This needs to be a little drier to better receive them. Here it's more for the overall dark to light. Maybe we can break off some of this shape here. Yeah. And yes, so even if we went a little overboard on the shapes here, what works in our favor is the fact that we did leave this pattern of a road or trail in the middle, and I can actually soften some of these shapes. But the fact we have this here just helps it maybe make a little more sense. Next up, I'm gonna get this cabin thing on the right. And for this one, I'll go not as dark as I got it now. I'll help this move, but I'm not afraid to go dark here because I am gonna put in the background kind of shore thing, and I want it to contrast. So I think this can work. Maybe we'll add a bit of a coolness kind of effect here, just to bring out some interest. And then I can actually go ahead and connect the two. So let's get the background. I think let's go very cool here. So a bit more of my manganese blue hue, French ultramarine, and this burnt sienna-ish kind of paint. And this is gonna be cool because I need it to be in the background. And I'm gonna bring also some water on board to make it lighter. And it goes and connects with the horizon line. Maybe it goes up there. And maybe also if you want to loosen it up a bit, come back with, again, moist brush and kind of blend some of it off. And maybe we can add a secondary shore, but this has to be really thin. I don't know why, because I see something there. So let's do this. Maybe makes you think, what is this highlight in the middle, or something like that, you know. On the other attempt, I actually softened the bottom, so let's do it. I think it looks good, like that. Kind of send it to the background. So we got something interesting, right? Maybe the second attempt will go better. I have no idea. I know it's a big mess in the front there. I'm really wondering, should I just go over this road and kind of make it darker like the rest? I'm not sure. But in any case, we'll put in the darkest darks in just a second. Maybe it'll bring out some of the details right there. And then that's why we have the second attempt, because we'll try and get a more of an atmospheric kind of overall look. So we'll see how that goes. So let's see what you're saying in the chat. So yeah, Nancy says, Andy E, great guy, great interview, love that, thank you so much. Rosario, thank you for saying the palette is a mess. Hey Dovo, how are you doing? Hey Paige, how are you? Trying to think about wanting to paint like someone else, but Andy Evenson is just like pure aspirational. Yeah, it's a balance. It's a balancing act. You can learn certain aspects from other artists. Oh, by the way, this is what I wanted to ask. If you can take a moment and like the live stream, it really helps it reach more people. We have 74 people here and 32 likes, so get on it. If you can drop a like, let me see those likes going up. Let's see. Ravin Rav says, hey, I made it. Welcome aboard. Kelvin Zero, hey, how are you? I haven't made any new paintings lately, but I did draw some naked people. Cool. Share it in the Discord. I'd like to see. Or send it over via email. Pam says, thank you, forgot all the rocks. Yeah, the rocks are a mess, by the way. My Alexander says, sorry for being late. No, it's cool. It's cool. Welcome aboard. Is this a Pixabay picture? Because it kind of looks familiar. Yeah, it's a relatively new one, too. I just opened it up and I saw that on the... Or maybe it's not new. I remember seeing it on the homepage, like in one of the newer editions. But yeah. Namrata says, hey, Ravin says, are you going to make this painting muted or does it just look slightly muted at first? No, it's going to stay quite muted for now. Just a mix of kind of warm and cool. Man, I love the colors of this painting so far. Thank you. Tom says, yeah, I really like more muted scenes. We're gonna do another one that's muted the next attempt. I think we'll do the kind of thing I showed you earlier. Tom says, yeah, I really like the more muted scenes. Kelvin, using dirty palette will automatically give you muted color because the dirty paint is going to turn down the chroma. Yeah, definitely. Don't love how you completely picked your own colors for this. Yeah. Yeah, I like to show sometimes that I'm changing stuff around. Honestly, I'm looking at it, I'm like, what a mess. But if you look at the original reference photo, you can also think to yourself, what a mess. So I'm like, and by the way, this annoys me, so I'm going to fix it. You see there's this line here, like that. Yeah, so the original is also quite a mess, so I'm like, it's fine. It's funny because as I was preparing for this, I'm like, wow, this is much harder to... You know, some scenes you see and you're like, I know what I want to convey with them. And when I look at this, I'm not sure. I'm like, do I want to... Because there are so many ways you can focus on the front, focus on the back even, focus on the sky. There's a lot that can be done here. And when I look at this, I'm like, what do I want to focus on? So I'll show you in just a second. When we'll do the larger one, we'll focus on a few different things. And thank you so much. I see the likes went up to 51. Thank you. Much appreciated. If you can take a moment, like the video. I really appreciate it. HDZ Low 1 says, Liron, what are you drinking? Chai? No, this is actually coffee, just coffee. I was really tired and I felt like I was going to fall asleep, so yeah. Dania says, hi. Daiji says, like, done, thank you. Regina says, wary. I'm not sure what people are saying. I can't read. Deep Christian says 24th, so I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's a like. Luna says, my cat is watching you. Meow. Thank you for letting the cat watch. You see, even Ruth doesn't watch me. And she's supposed to, you know, she needs me for food and she won't even watch. She's just chilling there. What can I say? Tom Dancer says, if you like dirty palettes, check out Charles Evans. His look looks like the paint is trying to mutate and take over his studio. Charles Evans. I think I'm familiar with Charles. Let's do a Google search real fast. Oh yeah, I know who Charles Evans is, of course. Pam says, I've just done in Payne's Gray. Yeah, Payne's Gray is great. That's what Andy Evenson does too. Nora says, love the rocks and all the painting. It's abstract and gorgeous. Thank you. Rosario says, thanks. Revin says, at the moment, the painting reminds me of Joseph Turner's work. Wow, thank you so much. I think it still looks like a big mess, but thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Doe says, hey, coffee gang. Oh, so you're drinking coffee too, I assume. Born Again Farm Girl. Love Liron. How long are the bristles on your Tracy Levinson brushes? Let's see. So the one I'm using for the larger washes is, let's get the inches. It's about 1 inch, 1.2 maybe inches. And then for this, and I hope that's what you mean, right? How long the bristle. And this one's about 3/4 of an inch. So the Wangi one is, ding, hit the glass. Let's see what you're seeing. Yeah, okay, so this one's 3/4 of an inch. The other one was, again, 1.25 inches maybe. An inch 1.2. Which one I also like using? I like using this one for like inking, so that's going to be 1/2 inch probably, or a little over that. So yeah, I hope that helps. And I think we can move on to the next wash. I don't even need to use the hairdryer. We're good. I'm going to get some details in. Now, I'm going to use the details just as means for composition. It's not going to be the actual details by order of importance of how you see them in the reference photo. These are means to an end. Where do I want the attention to go? So this is a big mess, so I'd like to organize the lighthouse and get more focused there. So let's see. So I'm going to try and get this to be a little darker. let me not make the mistake again and actually open up the photo reference large. So then we have this around that. Get a bit of a thinner neck, and then it goes a little thicker. So you see, you send some attention to the actual top of the lighthouse, which I think is important. Then we have this kind of a thing going around, so why not? We have the window. Light coming from the right, so the shadow of the window is going to be on the right. This here we can definitely get like a small shadow and maybe a window or two. Also a bit of, I'm not going to get a shadow on the left side, but I'll just do this. There is a bit of a chimney here and at the back and here. These are small details, and then they cast a shadow to the left. We do see this line here. I know it's super small, hopefully you can still follow, but basically what I'm doing is directing the attention to this area with the darker values and sharper contrasts. This goes here. There's a bit of a nice little shadow trapped between the lighthouse and this cabin or house or tourist center, whatever that is. And we can even add this little fence here along the cliff to kind of hint that people go down, move down here, and then they get to the steps and the rocky area there. Maybe it goes on all the way to the edge here. So this is nice. And I think we're almost done. Just a stronger shadow here, stronger shadow there, maybe even a stronger shadow here. Feels like it's necessary. This casts a shadow. We have a bit of a smaller dormer that casts a shadow. This casts a shadow. This shadow here, a bit of a chimney, and we're kind of done, I think. Let's add just a bit more. I love this brush's capacity. I don't have to recharge it almost at all, especially for these smaller details, so that's really fun. Good water capacity. Get some of these there. Maybe there are a few people here. I do see them, so let's get a few, maybe hint that there's human presence here. And yeah, I'm not gonna go with seagulls or anything like that. I don't think it's necessary. I think we're done. I think this is done. Do I want to add like a darker shadow in some areas there? Nah, it's not. It's not as important. So I'm gonna skip that. So I think we're done almost. Whether we want to add anything more, now it's just a matter of let me think about it. Will we gain anything by adding more details? I honestly think we won't. I think we need to clean up some stuff if we could, but I can't. It's too late. So I think we'll let it go for now. We'll leave this one be. Okay. I'm going to remove the tape later, but let's leave it in this state, and then we can move on to the next attempt. A bit of a larger one, and we'll go for a look that is more similar to this. Okay, kind of against the light. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, let's get to it. I'll read some of the messages later on. Let me fix the camera so that you can actually see everything. This is almost good enough. I'm just going to raise it up a bit. Like that. Get the angle. Maybe get a little higher. We're good. Time-wise, we're good. We were rather fast. So I'm going to have to draw this, obviously, once again. So I'll go a little faster this time. Let me get this sharpened. I want it to be a little sharper. I feel like sometimes if it's too blunt, I just can't get the details I want. So it is important. I dropped this pencil a few times, and I hate when that happens because I know I probably broke some parts of it inside, and I'll only find out later on. So that's a little annoying, but yeah. So horizon line somewhere around here. And then going a little up, I'm gonna draw this cliff going up. And from here, with a few breaks, we'll get this shape. And then we have the piece of land. Let me just put it kind of like through the details in the foreground. So something like this. So this is where it's going to be, right? And for this bit of a larger piece, I can start showing a few more details. So that's a good thing. So I'll try not to scribble too badly. Let's get some of the overall kind of proportions of where things are. The lighthouse is going to end somewhere around here, actually. So that gives us this for maybe width, and then some of the structures right here. So here we go. Big structure. I love that shape. This triangle is so nice looking. This all the way to the sharp tip. And remember that right now I'm drawing something that's very technical, straight lines based. If this was like a human figure or something like that, I would have had a much harder time. So don't feel bad if you're like, you have to draw slower than me, because I've been drawing so many of these scenes that I'm so familiar with the patterns, the overall structure of things that, and I'm gonna have to move the lighthouse because I kind of messed up the proportions, but I'm so familiar with drawing these kinds of scenes that I feel very confident in getting the shapes right. So don't beat yourself if it's a little more challenging. And also, remember, what we care most about is the outline. The reason I am putting these details in, honestly, is so that we can know where to leave some highlights and leave some interesting bits of detail. That's pretty much the main reason why I am showing some of these smaller details. But other than that, we won't really need them. This goes around. Then we have a dot. We have this line here. So this is irrelevant, actually. I don't care about the cast shadow, because we're not going to have a cast shadow. We're going to have a backline. So I don't care about these shadows. So I'm not going to draw them. Remember, the drawing has to serve the purpose. And this. So you know what we'll do here? We'll drop the cabin here. Here's a good live example for composition. The cabin here has no use whatsoever. I actually love this shape, how this interacts with the lighthouse. And the sea is going to have this gap going in, so this is going to be lighter. I love that. Let's not lose that. Let's keep it, okay? As for the details here, not much is necessary, because, again, well, we're going to simplify it a lot. And this is really like me copying Joseph's Bookvich kind of way of doing things. So yeah, the only disadvantage for removing this is maybe we'll have less contrast of warm and cool. That's the only thing, but to be honest with you, I like that composition so much that let's drop the other cabin. It's just useless for us. And now I'm going to get in a few more details just to make sure we got enough to go off of, because I am going to start considering where do I want to leave lighter sections, where do I want to leave complete highlights, you know. And I'll actually bring up a photo that Joseph's Bookvich painted that's going to be kind of my scheme for this, color scheme. And this is a great idea that I just got to show you, because I barely do this, but I think it's quite a genius thing to do. So if you can combine your scene with someone else's impression in a way, it could be very interesting. And we're not copying anything, we're copying, if anything, the methodology, so it's really cool. So this, here we have a few windows. This is a shadow area, windows, this here. And to be honest, this isn't fully a shadow area, because again, the light's gonna come from the back, but you know, why not? These details are important, because we will put them in. Of course, you can just add them in, you don't have to draw them, but I think it can help. Then this goes here. Again, we're drawing things that aren't gonna be visible necessarily, but we draw them so that we know where to do the different things we want to do. So this here, this goes like that. I love dormers of any sorts. It looks so good, no matter what, really. So for example, what I may do is keep this a little lighter, but still blended within a larger wash, you know? So it's just really fun. And I think we'll show more of the buildings. You know what, let's try something a little revolutionary. Let's end this, go here. Look at what I'm doing here. I'm extending them downwards so that they're clearer. The shape is clearer. You can tell that we're going up into a building from that kind of a cliffside or whatever that is. And let's pretend that this strip of land in the background isn't going above, so it's kind of going back. Okay, so this is essentially going to be empty. And then you get to feel the structure better. Look at the composition now. I think it's much more interesting. Because here I lost that aspect. This kind of a gap will be beautiful, I think. So just a thought to throw at you. This is how you change things to make them more interesting. Now, if you're really skilled, you can change a lot more of the overall composition. I just don't feel confident sometimes doing that. So, yeah. Now, it would be interesting to add a small element here, but I don't know what it will be, so I'm gonna leave this empty for now. Could be cool to add like a mini peak here, maybe a statue, but it's not there, so I'm not gonna do that. Other than that, I think we're good. Let's define an area where it goes a little darker. So maybe somewhere along these lines, like that, and then maybe here, just to give ourselves some kind of an awareness while we're painting. So good, we can start with the first wash. Now let me bring up the picture, and then I'll look at some of your questions. I actually prepared one, and I'll show you. We'll follow the pattern of this image, and I'll call it Z. Browse, Joseph Bukovic. Now look at that. If we can follow the pattern of light and shadow here, could be really cool. So we're essentially loan the way he approached this scene, but we'll throw it onto ours. So this is how you get this kind of a thing. Okay? So we'll see how it goes. So for the first wash, I'll go over everything that isn't dark. So essentially what we're going to do is go over this. I'm going to go over everything, but just generally speaking, sky, get them a little kind of muted around the bottom. And then as we go down, I'll switch to a blue that starts light and then maybe goes a little darker. Okay, so you can see it here. And by the way, the highlights he added on this area is genius, kind of sparkles. Maybe we'll steal that too. So maybe we're going to have some sparkles here. Maybe we'll add them opaquely later on. I think we'll do that. Let's go over. We'll see how it goes. Well, sometimes you have to feel the process, right? So yeah, highlight, sparkly. Then, do I want to do it here too? Probably. We'll see. Let's do that. Let's have that in mind. So I have some sparkliness here. We'll see how it goes. While we do it, we can always edit later on with some opaque paint. Now let me see what you're asking, because it's been a while since I looked at the chat. I need a cup of coffee too this time, says Ravine. Born Again, thank you. I bought the 1-inch set too. Cool. Angela, Fast and Furious. Brian Webster, I like the limited palette technique, just can't get right when I try it. Interesting. So I'll be curious to see how you use it. That's the thing, to give you more information or maybe fix mistakes. So it would be a good time to join the Discord. Let me see. I'll link it myself. If I won't do it, no one will, and maybe someone already has. I'm so sorry if you have. So if you join the Discord, you can share your art, maybe get some feedback. So let's see here. Luna, whenever I paint wet on dry, I get a dark, harsh line. Is it me, cheap paper? I have no clue what I'm doing wrong. So yeah, it could be the cheap paper. What paper are you using? Let us know if you're using anything that isn't Arch, Saunders, Waterford, San Fabriano's. Yes, that could definitely be the reason. So here I go to Liron's Art Universe, and what we'll do here is I'm going to go over to the settings. Honestly, I don't even remember how to do this. I'm still new to Discord, so invites. I invite code. So why can't I use that? Let's see here. Such a noob. Okay, we'll figure it out later. Oh, here we go. Invite people, of course. Let's see if that'll work. I don't know. Sorry for the dead air, and I know a lot of you don't care about the Discord. But let's see. So I think this should work. Why can't I do this? Here we go. Invite. Okay, I'll try. Worst case, it doesn't work. Here we go. Join. You can share your artwork there. Hopefully, we can give you some feedback. Kelvin said limited palette is great. You don't really need to think about color. That's true. Jacqueline from Brazil, right? Thank you so much for being here, Tom. I like that the front rocks are so loose, gives focus to the lighthouse. Thank you. I don't know how to pronounce that. Jigia Shri, sorry. Copying methodology is exactly how I've learned to paint in watercolor. Yeah, that's a great way. Ravine. My boyfriend also wants to learn watercolor, but I cannot convince him to try it, though and he struggles so much. We'll send him over here. I mean, we can help him. Okay, let's get to it. Let's start here. I'm gonna close off the Discord. We'll do this. So remember, we're combining the two together. So first wash for that kind of a thing, we're gonna go for this beautiful, the way he painted the sky here, if I can achieve it. So I'm going to use 3 colors here. I'm going to use, well, maybe 4. Manganese blue hue, and let me see if you can even see this. So manganese blue hue, French ultramarine, that burnt sienna thing here. This one, this is this one, and a bit of Indian yellow. Okay, we'll try and merge all of them and see what we get. So let's start with a gray. So blue, a bit of yellow, a bit of, maybe I'll use some Perlin red too. I think I used Perlin red for this one. So this is Perlin red. Well, let's see what we can get here. Maybe I'll use the backside just as a test paper. So this is nice for the muted color. Now, if we add a bit more yellow and more water, we can get something decent for the sky. Let's see what we get here. Yeah, this is a little too muted for my taste. So let's crank up the yellow. And remember that a lot of it is in the value and it's definitely going to dry much lighter. So I'm going to start here like that. And we'll make sure to charge with enough paint to get the nice bead going. We're already using Joseph Bukvich's method. And I'm going to cover these, because these aren't white highlights. They're going to be like the background wash. And then let's up the redness. Like that. The only place where I will leave some more serious highlights is the ripples in the water. Okay? So here we go. A little bit of redness. And then as we get to the bottom, maybe we can try for a few, again, of these highlights to show the sparkly water. Like that. Trying to do it very randomly, and then let's start bluing it up. Maybe even some manganese. And here there are also some ripples, but I'm not going to put them here. But this is water, so we'll go with that blue. A bit of sparkles there in the distance. Probably should have them here too, but again, we can add these later on. Now I'm going to keep this area a little warm, not as cool as the water, because it's going to be in the shadow later on, but it's still at the front, so I want to make sure that it gets some nice treatment of warmth underneath the coolness. Should I leave this? No. Let's, I really don't know. Let's get rid of it for now. And get this. You see, a lot of it is just guesswork, trial and error. Don't know exactly what will happen here. But I do feel like now's the time to start bringing in some more blue down to the bottom. So here we go. Here I'm not going to have any sparklies, but to the right we definitely will. So let's get rid of the paint and do this kind of thing here. Get some of these sparkles on the right. And then what I want to do is darken. So let's darken a bit. That's way too much. My this is M Gram French ultramarine or ultramarine blue, I can't remember, and it's really let's see what I did here. Yeah, so I darkened some of the bottom, and it's really soft. Even when it dries on the palette, it's very soft. Now what I'll try and do as this dries is get the ripples that I forgot the previous time in the water. So a bit of this ultramarine, bit of this just to neutralize a little, a bit of this manganese just to get it to be bluer, And we'll go over the bottom again, just darkening it a bit. Like this. And as it dries, and I want to show you, maybe we'll do this just a bit to help some of it stay a little moist and move, and I can also tilt it to help things go down a little. But if you look at how you see how it glistens, so it's still wet. So we're gonna give it a few more seconds, and then we'll and maybe also do this. Yeah. I want to just break off some of these sparkles. Oh, I think that worked. There we go. Just break this off. This isn't good, but we'll just do this and it'll disappear. So it flew some bigger droplets that I didn't really need. Let's see here. Oh. Now, here's what I'm wondering. So I'm looking at it to figure out, and it's still quite wet. So this is a little too early still to get these wet and wet details that you see in Zbukvich's work. By the way, all copyrights for this painting right here, Joseph Zbukvich, it's not mine. Don't claim it to be my own in any way, shape, or form. Joseph Z, just a little copyright disclaimer. Joseph Zbukvich, check him out if you don't know him. What medium are you painting it? But yeah, no, I'm kidding. It's okay if you kind of try to separate yourself from external influences. So now let's do this. Let's start putting in. I think we're getting to the area when it starts to be okay to drop in some of these thicker ripples. But the thing is, I'll need very thick paint and a bit of that manganese. Yeah, that's good. I need the paint to be very thick to kind of beat the wetness on paper. Otherwise things are going to spread out way too much. So you see, even now with as thick a paint as I'm using, it still spreads out quite a bit. And sorry for the creaky chair. Screechy chair, cranky chair, I don't know what to call it. Maybe even a hint of green, but I really don't want to. Maybe we'll put a bit of, forgot the name of this color, nickel azo yellow to it, just to get it to be a little green. And not too many of these, but here and there. Now ideally, if you have a large enough area, you can make these smaller as the farther they go. So you may want to do that. This area is almost dry. Also try and keep them vertical, unlike me. I definitely did not. A bit of that here too. And you see, even with this thick a paint, it still spreads out quite a bit. So you have to really watch out for it. And I think now is enough. We don't have to, maybe just a few more, but this is pretty much done. So we'll let this dry, answer some questions, then we'll get started on the second wash. And this is where it's really going to bring out the magic. Right now it's all practical, essentially. And for any missed spots, I can go back and add some opaque paint or stuff like that. So let me dry this, answer some questions, move on to the next wash. We're good. We're a good pace. We have about 30 more minutes. Hold on a second. So in this stage, we have quite a few challenges. What kind of a wash do we want it to be? Do we go like this? What kind of highlights do we leave? Do we try and hit the local temperature, so going cooler on these front walls and warmer on the houses, or are we kind of merging everything together? It's tricky. I'll try getting a perfect balance of both. Perfect is impossible, but a balanced balance of both. We'll see how it goes. That's the main challenge. Another one is, of course, this is a large shape. We're going to essentially, if it's unclear, we're going to paint this whole thing right here, all around, going all the way around this and that, connecting everything, the lighthouse, even the background will connect probably. All of these are going to be painted together. So that's the challenge here. We won't connect this. We'll just focus on this shape for now. But I'm going to start from the top. And this, so he starts relatively cool, but let's try and start a little warmer. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to mix something that's still quite neutral. And we'll get a warm start here up top. But then I'll immediately change over to a bit of a more cool mix. And this can't be too dark too, so I'll try and kind of get a balance of values as well. I like the idea of leaving gaps, so let's do that. I don't know if it turns it into less of a lighthouse, but I love the way he leaves gaps. I'll actually switch to the larger brush. I know it's early, but I really want to get this flowing. And I want it to be neutral. So we'll use Parylene Red, we'll use Indian Yellow, we'll mix everything together, and then starting from that neutral point, relatively neutral point, we'll vary it up. So here we go. There are no gaps in this part. And you see, even with a large brush, you can do quite a bit. If you just learn how to use it effectively and move it around a bit, you can get quite a lot of the details in. But it's still a little too big, so we'll switch back. For the smaller highlights, it's a little too much, so let me do that. Absorb back some of the water and continue moving this wash. Remember, we don't have that, let's do this. We don't have that highlight over here. We're just using a backlight source. So we'll go here. Now, a fun thing you can do is actually drop a bit of warmth, let's say around, to kind of mimic sunlight coming from the back. And I will show you with a picture after we're done, and you'll be able to judge for yourself how it turned out, because it's going to be a little hard to see all the nuances here. Now, so we're done with the lighthouse. Now we have to get a move on and move it to the left here. So a bit of a combination of this beautiful warm burnt sienna kind of thing. And you see I'm starting to just leave highlights wherever I want. I'll have to be a little more ruthless here though. I'll have to paint in larger swaths, because the big challenge here, and this is what I started saying earlier, is, let's get this hair off. The biggest challenge is, as we're thinking about all these small details, how do we not lose track of the overall composition, the overall values, the overall temperature? That's not easy. And I'm starting to feel like I'm too rigid, even as loose as I am, still being a little too rigid. And that's saying a lot. So I'll have to go a little beyond. This is a great lesson, actually. Understanding this in real time is really fun. I'll have to go beyond my initial kind of inclination of just, painting smaller sections. We'll go beyond that. Put in a bit of a chimney here, chimney there, get this shadow in, put a bit of a highlight, and we'll start moving this forward. Now, as it's already there and established, I can maybe add a bit of a warm feeling to some areas, but kind of very drop it here and there, but still it's very much within the flow, right? And then we're gonna leave. So we're gonna do the other way around, where we leave a few highlights on this rocky terrain rather than leaving a few dark areas. So we're doing the other way around, okay? Now you'll notice in the painting, as he moves down, and he likes to do all these things where revisiting and putting in some water and not overworking necessarily. Definitely not overworking, because he's a master, but kind of revisiting areas and really devoting more time to bringing these effects of, smoke coming up or stuff like that. So we can just do it. I don't know. Just drop a few areas with water, and then it'll kind of run down and create this nice little foggy feeling it's so well known for. And again, I'm trying not to actively copy exactly what I see, but it's not always easy because I am looking at it kind of in front of me as a reference photo. Now, as we move down, I'm going to start significantly darkening it. So remember, we have a lot of wetness on paper, so we need to be very aware of that and come back with some very strong paints. And then know where to end them next to these highlights I put in earlier. Actually like the smaller version I did earlier better. I don't know, it has a bit of a better flow to it, of course, because it's smaller, so it's funny. But yeah, and let's be clear here on where the rocks are and where the water starts, or maybe somewhere around here. Maybe let's move it downwards a little more. That. So you see, as I started fussing with all of the small details, and that wasn't a good idea. I needed to expand my view of the entire scene, right? Now, I think this is too dry to start doing wet in most areas, but if you look at it in the light, some areas are still a little wet. So we'll try getting maybe a bit of wet and wet there, but I don't want it to be too much. So maybe this is dry, but let's just, doesn't matter, I'll put it next layer too. Just to bring this forward as a focal point, I'll put in a few dots here and there. Maybe move them around a bit, keep them a little loose. This is a little wet still, so I can use that. Same for this area, and again, you can use your finger to kind of move it around it. Make sure it's still a little blended. Now, I could have added a boat. That would have improved some of the composition. Maybe I should just copy a boat off of the paint. Let's do that. Let's make it fun. This is all experimentation anyway. So let's get a boat here. Like that. Among all the sparklies, like the best way to place it. And then add a bit of that manganese just to make things a little greener. Maybe a touch of yellow. And then add a few of these, ripples. I know it's a bit of a gimmicky kind of thing to do, but I think it looks good. So maybe just one of these boats here. Maybe one facing towards us, though I don't know if I want to. Let's do one a little further back, like this. Wasn't planning on doing it, but because this is becoming a little experimental, I'm like, okay, let's just try it out. So maybe just two is enough. And yeah, now we'll add a bit of that piece of land in the background. And this is going to be light and very muted as well. So I'll just try and get it in one go, maybe tilt the paper a bit. And get it to be more blue than anything, I think. Maybe like this. Lighter too. Much lighter, actually. There we go. Just really a very thin paint. And we'll also blend some of it here. And let's keep it tilted this way so it goes away from us. Now I actually messed up the shape completely. Now I see it here, but that's fine. I should have gone up and then down. It's funny, I didn't even notice. But yeah, now let's turn it back down so it will move away from that line that I designed. Maybe even dry this up a bit. I decided that this month I'll really focus on watercolor, kind of like I did with the anatomy. So this is gonna be like watercolor month. So hopefully you'll feel a bit of a difference, because right now I feel like it's been a while since I properly practiced. So yeah, let's let it dry. I'll figure out what to do with it later. Is this wet still? Yeah, these areas are wet. Let's try and push it a little more, because I feel like it's definitely not dark enough in a lot of areas. I like how the Recent live streams are just turning into me struggling. Struggle sessions with Liron. Trying to get things to look right. Sometimes, sometimes you paint something and it's really fully instructional and you get to teach and show your skill. Sometimes it's like, I'm learning probably more than you do because I'm doing it. Let's flip it. Let's flip it again. And help this. Desperate times call for drastic measures, and I'm a bit insistent right now on getting it in this go before it dries. I don't know why I want to do that, but because I can pre-wet later, I can do a lot of things, but I don't want to bring water into it too much because that's going to be a disaster. But we'll see. Let's give it a steep angle. Help it move down a bit. It's very risky what I'm doing, but I'm like, let's just do it. So yeah, we'll give it a few seconds. Let me see your questions. This is a big mess. Today's a big mess. Sorry about that. Let's see what time it is. Yeah, okay, we have time. Jace Baker, where is the light coming from in this painting? In the painting from the back, so it's just behind us in this particular example. In the previous one, it was from the right. Tom, I've just started using a sponge for brush water control, just to dab and take off the excess. Made a huge difference. Yeah, a sponge for me, paper towel works better. A sponge I actually want to use for pre-wetting paper, because I see a lot of people use that to quickly pre-wet, so that's maybe something I'll try instead. Weddy says, hi Liron, thanks for the demo question. What paper are you using? This is Saunders Waterford. No, this is Arch, sorry. I thought I had extra Saunders Water. You know what? No, this is actually Saunders Waterford. Because I have a new Arch roll, but I haven't used it for this one. So this is Saunders Waterford, but I have a new Arch roll, which I use for different pieces. Tom Dancer, this is interesting. I was planning to use the style of a particular Team Wilmot scene to paint a similar photo of mine. Oh, cool. It'll definitely lend itself to this kind of a scene, what Tim Wilmot does. Deep Christian says, beautiful, thank you. Kelvin, this is very moody. I'm guessing this is what they call tonalism. Yep. Either way. It definitely is. Could be called tonalism. Mark Ohio, I've missed so many live shows lately. I forgot today, so I will have to watch the whole thing later. Yeah, no worries. Marjorie Johnson, Nicole about yellow, what brand? Okay, that's conversation. I'll skip that for now, but if you have any questions, Marjorie, let me know. Tom, I find the idea of connecting things fascinating. I love that you painted that tiny line over the lighthouse highlight. Yeah, that's fun. It's not in the photo, but who cares? I guess the connection is more important. Yes, it is. Nora says, lovely. Tom says, looks great comparing to the inspiration. It makes sense. Yeah. Joy, I'm so afraid to connect the shadows without ruining its form. Interesting. So if you draw the form clearly, and I can probably flip it upside down. If you draw the form quickly, you shouldn't really worry about that. So it did work out a bit, the holding it upside down. We can add a few highlights later on, just manually. Please look for an email from Manamade. Is it from you, Marjorie? We learn as much from struggling videos as that. Yeah, definitely. Let me know if it's from you. I'll check it out. So Joy, I'm so afraid to connect the shadows without ruining the form. It's just a part of it. Again, if you draw the shape very clearly and you just say, okay, I'm going to stick to the shape I drew, usually it will work out. So I wonder, if you have a particular example for shapes you wanted to connect and you haven't, let me know. Or maybe you're worried about getting the flow right while doing that. Tom, struggle sessions, to be honest, I think there are maybe 5 people who just get the result they want first time. Yeah, definitely. I like it in videos when the painter has to adjust to make corrections. Yeah, that's fun. 123 says, you're funny watching you struggling. Kelvin Zero, this is a good chance to extend that background mountain to the other side. Yeah, maybe. Possibly. I still don't think it's quite there, but maybe if it moves back a bit, I can do that. Or maybe I'll leave this area, because I like the way it looks. I don't know. It's definitely an opportunity to consider. Teresa says, you're so authentic. Thank you. Trying. Nora, I think the light is in the back of the lighthouse, not the back of the person painting. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, Marjorie, I'll check it out from Manamade. I'll look into it. When did you send it? Just let me know, because it'll help me find it. But yeah. So I think I can start adding some highlights. I think I'll just add some random highlights here and there. Let's get a bit of tissue here because I have my broken off John Brilliant tube. I do want to bring out some lights in the reference photo. So let me open up the reference. And actually, I want us to disconnect from the Z. So I'm going to remove that because I want us to focus on this reference at the moment. So where can we add some touches of light and shadow? We can even use this as reference. It's funny. So let's see what we can come up with. Just a few small touches of highlights, including the ripples too, but we'll get to that later on. So there's one I definitely lost up there, right around here, right? Highlight, probably here as well, around this edge. This I wanted to really leave and I messed it up. I like how you can see some of these details there, but I don't want to go too overboard here with these. Let's turn this shadow area into a light area. I don't know, it looks fun. Here as well, kind of coming through from behind maybe. A few of the chimneys. This is still wet, so it's going to be interesting to see what will happen, but you can definitely add some here and there. Some rocks maybe catching the light. Definitely not a must though. Just seeing where it takes us. Maybe at the top separating the buildings from the cliffside. Like that. And I actually like that it blends and goes a little wetter and a little more transparent. Here as well. Now as for highlights on the water, maybe just a few ripples here and there. Maybe here as well. A few on top of the imaginary people. And maybe something to bring out the point of this boat. Let's adjust this shape here. This could be nice actually. Let's go lighter like this. But yeah, I think this is done. I don't know. The smaller one definitely appeals more to me, maybe because I increased the warmth here. In a way I like that. And I can go over it and do another layer. I just wonder what the point is because I wanted it to be loose from the beginning. So I'm like, maybe I'll keep it this way. I don't know. But let me bring over everything. We'll see what we have here. Sorry about that. Almost dropped everything. But it was there were so many attempts that I just don't know. Well, a bunch of them, and we have the other side too. So a lot. Maybe we'll do this. Let's let it dry. I'll sign them. We can remove the tape off the first one. I think I'll leave this one as is. I don't want to change it, even though it's definitely lacking in so many ways. And I could have designed the shape so much better, and I could have done so many things a lot better, but it's fine. I'm just gonna sign it real fast without opaque paint. Remove the tape. Maybe I can sign it later. Let's remove the tape actually. Let me dry it. 1 second. I'll remove the tape. Okay, so an important note, whenever you try to change the reference photo, you can expect, and let's start from this one, you can expect there to be challenges. Because you just don't know what you're doing really. You're guessing, you're changing stuff around, you can have experience with light and shadow, understand them really well, but still when you're not relying directly on the reference photo, it will lead to challenges. So be patient with yourself if that's the case. Don't worry about it too much. Try a few different iterations like I have. See what you like the most, right? So let's see here. So this is our first attempt, and we'll set this to the side as we remove the tape off of this one, which is actually, it's pretty nice looking. It's just that there's so much that can work better on the overarching level. So when you paint for example, this kind of a small piece, it's much easier to get the main shapes to work together. You can see the solidity or togetherness of the blues and then the warms. Here it's a bit more of a mess simply for the fact that it's larger and I worked in smaller sections. So it's one more thing to have in mind, to have a better plan maybe, to better understand what the wash is going to be like. A lot of it is hard to do while filming and easier to do when recorded, because I really need to sometimes stop and think and imagine, and then once I have a clear picture, I'll start painting. So a lot of factors that play into that, and again, this month I'll definitely crank up the solo paintings that I just don't. The thing I do with anatomy, that I do a lot of the fill-in pages, I'll do with watercolor. So we'll definitely feel some growth, I hope. So let me bring over everything here. If you have any questions kind of before we wrap up, let me know now. Now is the time. Let's get rid of or maybe let's make the reference photo smaller, because I still want to show you. So we have this, we have that, basically 4 iterations. So these two I've done off camera for anyone who joined late. I did them prior just to paint and practice and get ready. This turned out to be a gem. I really like this one. And then we started with this, which I like. I think it has a decent plan, right? The execution could have been better, the plan could have been better, but it has a decent plan. I like how at the end the focal point really is brought back to, I can actually enhance it just by going here and adding a few small highlights next to some shadows. But the thing for me, and this I wanted to say especially for this last attempt, what I'll do is I'll keep it on my desk, and I think I'll leave the door open for improvements. I like to do that sometimes. I'll let this stay, for a day, and maybe tomorrow or the day after I'll look at it and I'll see, okay, I really want to try something different here or there. I'll try maybe changing something around, and I'll share it with you. Okay, so we'll let these two rest, and maybe if I feel like I want to improve something, then I will. So again, like this one, I think it's a good solid attempt. I love how the camera focuses for like a millisecond and then it doesn't. Right? It was a perfect focus for one moment, then it's gone. Let me try and just do it manually. We'll see how that goes. Here we go. I really need to get a better camera. It's a good camera actually. It's just not meant for drawing, to capture people drawing. It's more for faces. So here we go. We got it. We got it. Here we go. I think that's good. Here we go. We got a nice focus manually. So this is the first attempt we did. Then we did this one. Now you can get to see the details. It's much, much better. So yeah, we did this one. This one I did prior. First version I ever painted of this scene. And then I made the, so here's a cool example. What I learned from this one, and you learn from every painting. What I learned from this one is the sky has to be dark enough for the highlight to show here. The sky wasn't dark enough, and then I added this, you see this weird greenish cloud, I added it as a last kind of touch. I loved these diagonal shadows, so I wanted to keep them in, but I also wanted to turn this more orange. So then for the next attempt, I did this. I said, let's go more atmospheric, right? And let's get all of these beautiful highlights there, and imagine we're painting against the light. Then we did this first iteration that is kind of a combination of these two, the lessons I learned in terms of light and shadow from here, and improving the temperature and giving a more of a better maybe message. And then lastly, we did this that attempted to mimic this in a way, and to preserve the temperature effects, if you will. So I hope that was enjoyable. Let me leave, this is a nice focused look. I should have streamed the whole thing like that. So sorry about that. Sheer incompetence. I'm gonna put everything up here for you to see, and we'll take some questions, I think. So let's see what we have here, and then kind of wrap it up. I think it's time. Gotta get ready. Ruth needs to get her, I think it's a shot, or maybe it's a pill today, I don't know, but yeah, poor thing. I will look for your email, Marjorie. Where were we? Is what I signed my hand sculpted. Necklace with cool. Oh, Marjorie, yeah, I've seen your email. Sorry, my apologies. I have seen your email. I remember, and yes, I need to send you the information. Yes, sorry about that. Sorry about the delay. I definitely have seen your email. So yeah, Mer Goparian. Do you ever get free art supplies or companies try to send you stuff as an ambassador? Yeah, all the time actually. I have brushes that I need to review, hopefully soon. I promised them I will, so of course I will. I need to try them out on my own first. And I always say whenever stuff is sent to me, I cannot guarantee a date, I cannot guarantee when, because I do these things based on what I think is best for you and the channel. So I can't guarantee that by a month from now you'll get a review. And of course it's always honest, so if I hate something, I'll just say it, or I won't publish the video at all. But yeah, I got brushes recently. Skoda sent me brushes. They were very kind. They sent me 12 actually of their plein air sets. Really great brushes, great tips. The one complaint I had about them was that in some brushes this thing started moving. This is actually collapsible brushes, so you can do this. But in some of them, you see, this shouldn't have popped out. This should have popped out. In some of them, I don't know if I just abused them a bit, but in some of them this started rattling a bit. So it was a little annoying, but not a big deal. And once it's wet and there's some paint that dries there, it holds it in place, but I don't think it's supposed to do that. But yeah, Tracy's brushes I love, and we did a live stream with him. I didn't have many complaints. I have one issue with one brush that I actually want to talk to him about, but it's one out of a lot that he sent me, so that's good. I will reach out to him. What else? I got a lot of paints from Schminke back in the day. Daniel Smith never answered my emails up till this point, which is funny because I love them. And I have people like you send me art materials. Chris from the UK sent me a lot of SAA paints that were lovely. I love these paints, and I should definitely get more. Now that I order from Jackson's occasionally, I should get more. They're really, really good. What else? What else did I get recently? John, of course, sent me tons of materials. Thank you so much, John. Much appreciated. I think more from viewers rather than companies. I get a lot of emails from companies about products that are kind of half related to what I do. So, for example, someone wants me to review a tablet, like a drawing tablet, and I barely do digital art. I do occasionally, but not a lot. And honestly, I didn't feel like doing it because initially I didn't feel like doing it, and then I was like, oh, it could be fun. But then I asked them, and they started saying what they expect me to do, and I don't really like that. You know, we want you to, in the review, mention this and mention that. So to be honest with you, I just haven't answered the recent email, and it's been a week and a half. So if you're a brand, try and be smart about it and let creators do what they want, you know. But yeah, to be honest with you, I haven't bought a lot of art materials recently because I don't need to. The only major purchase I had was for about $200, was the 9-yard Arch roll. I have a 9-yard Arch cold press roll, which is great because it's gonna last me for a year or so. But yeah, I haven't bought a lot of stuff. Sketchbooks all the time. I do buy myself. Ginger Kelly says, love watching you bring life to your paintings. Thank you for the videos. Thank you so much. Kelvin says, this is done. Yes, that is true. Kate L, I joined late. Sorry, missed the chat. I grew up visiting this lighthouse. Loved it. You're painting it. Cool. Where is it? Let me know. Marjorie will try to email you today. Later, don't email anybody, would you believe? Yeah, no worries. I saw your email, as I mentioned. The light on side of Lighthouse. Tom Nestor says, yeah, that's it. Looks great. Thank you. Nora says, I love the last one. Really like both. Banani says, I really like the contrast of the first one. I love both. Also, I really like how the first one has settled. Thank you. Marjorie, haven't used this technique. One picture for subject and one for technique. Yeah, that's interesting. I almost never do it, but it's a fun way of doing things. Sometimes you can get not just a photo and a painting, but you can get two photos, one with the light conditions you want and one with the view you want, and combine them. There's a lot that can be done. John says, I like all of them for different reasons. Wonderful results in the live stream. Thank you, Liron. Thank you so much, John. Henny says, very atmospheric. Could you do a vid on itself for capturing the atmosphere? Yes, and I actually have. Check out the last one I did. I did on an atmospheric kind of landscape. But I do know people want more complex stuff, so I'll definitely do more of those and less of the very fast views. I want to go a little more in depth, but I feel like I have a lot of internal work to do. I have a lot to improve. I took a bit of a detour to work very hard on drawing, and now it's time to go back to watercolor. D. Johnson, I love both paintings. Thank you so much. Calvin Zero, a lot of the camera is designed with faces in mind. Yeah, definitely. Henny, that's a lot of practice for the finished piece. Respect you for going through all of them. Yeah, it's been fun because they're all different, so it's not like the same thing over and over again. Marjorie says, love the combo one, the best atmosphere. Thank you. Arthur Koopman is tuning in just now, like the atmosphere of Business Bookfish. Like, yeah, definitely. Henny Shea finished the last piece I emailed you, by the way. You can check it out if you like on Insta. Yeah, I definitely will. And everyone, check out Henny's Instagram. I'll actually open it up now so that I don't forget. I love it. You did such a good job. I remember the last advice I gave you. Curious to see what you did with it. Actually, let me look at it now. I'm going to give you my live response. I won't show it because I just don't have a comfortable, convenient way of doing it, but let's see here. So I don't know why. Oh yeah, here it is. Oh, nice. This is really good. I'll email you if you send me an email. This is perfect. Yeah, you nailed the scene. Nora says, like the light on the water on the backlit. Thank you so much. Tom, funny, I saw reviews on Amazon for cheap travel brushes saying the handle was loose, so seeing in the Skoda having that problem makes you wonder. Yeah, and it's honestly, it's just one out of the 12 brushes, so it's not the end of the world. James Baker, and by the way, they're super cool. If you email them, they'll probably send you a new one. Maybe they'll ask you to send it over. They're really cool about it. Thank you, Liron. It's so nice that we all learn together here in a truly genuine atmosphere. Yeah, definitely. You and your work are greatly appreciated. The one hope I have, James, and everyone here, is to improve the teaching a bit. I want to be able to teach more complex techniques, more like, okay, so I'm just gonna say it now. I'm gonna devote a lot of time in the following 4 weeks to bring my technique up to speed. You will hopefully see an improvement, not just in, because usually what I'll do is focus more on the paintings, and then of course I get better results. It's gonna be a huge improvement, hopefully, in the results, and you'll see it. Just like you hopefully feel it for the drawing techniques. You will see lots of good things to look forward to. Marjorie Johnson, with the Skoda brushes, pinch the barrel just a bit and it will stop wiggling. Yeah, I heard about that. I think I didn't try it. I'll try it. It's actually a good suggestion. Tom Dancer, was SAA paint made in the Daniel Smith factory, or did I dream that? No, actually, you're right. I think they share production. They're very similar in quality. I even will say I liked some of them better. I think the tube design is better. It's more comfortable to open it, easier. So yeah, there are a lot of advantages. But overall, in terms of quality of paint, they're very similar. And they do share production, if I'm not mistaken. Ganesh says hello. That is art, not... Hi, Liron. I'll keep up the good streams. Thank you so much. I like the one on the top right. Thank you. That was the first attempt we did live here. Marjorie Daniel Smith is what I want to send, plus Isabel. I'm curious about these. And want to have you try soft press arch paper. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. TS, thanks again, Liron. Love the content. It's very helpful. There's art. The one on top left is pretty cool, though backlit. Thank you. Kate L. Portland, Head Lighthouse, Cape Elizabeth, Maine, USA. Cool. Well, Maine has excellent views. If I'm not mistaken, Stan Miller is from Maine, and his work is beautiful. And it is, I think he said it is inspired by where he grew up, even though the subject and paints are very different. Marjorie Johnson, if I can figure a safe way to send M. Graham, I have many. Thank you so much. M. Graham, I love them. And Tom followed Henny, so thank you so much, Tom. Everyone check the Instagram. It's really, really good. I keep telling people you're the perfect example of growth and ability. Unbelievable what time and dedication can do. Yeah, hopefully that the channel can provide that kind of inspiration for others. So with that, we can wrap it up. Let's get rid of this. I do want to thank you once again. Let me give you a front view of these two. Here we go. And the smaller ones as well. Which I really, really like. What am I doing? Here we go. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. Much appreciated. Be sure to check out the Discord once again, because I have a lot of... I'm trying to be very dedicated there. So if you want to ask questions, the people there can attest that I'm way more responsive. I don't know why the mic goes crazy, but in any case, I'm way more responsive there. So if you want to get feedback, if you want to share something, people share their social media channels there, so you can follow other people. I think it's really good. There's a drawing channel, there's a watercolor channel. I'll soon also add a tools channel where I have it detailed, the tools I'm using. There's also an announcement kind of channel where I share upcoming videos, interesting stuff, so that you can be informed. And that's it. Thank you so much. We'll wrap it up now. Really do appreciate you being here. This means the world to me, honestly, and it's also, again, the reason I can live off of what I enjoy doing. So thank you so much. You keep the lights on. You keep Ruth's food supply coming, so she thanks you for it. So thank you so much. Much appreciated. We'll talk to you again real soon on Saturday's video and next week. So thank you so much.